You're with Julian on the Browno and the second album review on a boozy Sunday afternoon. And it's Mogwai and the bad fire. So Mogwai are legends of the post-rock scene, broadly instrumental, textural music that is often closer to classical than it is to verse-chorus music. Very little in the way of vocals, though Mogwai have indeed included vocals, particularly in recent years. Nice cover as well on this album. And they're very well known for their excellent title game, and they arose as one of the pinnacles of post-rock in probably its most formative and powerful era, when Godspeed You Black Emperor did F sharp, A sharp Infinity, and they did Mogwai Young Team, Masterpieces and Tortoise and Sigur Rós were all releasing classic albums in the post-rock genre, which really came to define it. They have continued all the way through, and in recent years seem to have gained up a little bit more steam, in the same way that Godspeed You Black Emperor have done as well. They feel more vital at the moment than they did probably 10 years ago, and seem to be at a pinnacle. But Mogwai aren't in the album recording way, which is a disappointment for me. From Scotland, led by Stuart Braithwaite all the way through, and their initial albums were extremely formative in the idea of post-rock, and also in the use of very jarring soundscapes that would veer violently into very noisy ones, in a manner that Godspeed probably weren't doing at that point. Tracks like Herod and so on from their debut album. And they've returned after a short gap. As Love Continues in 2021, I thought was an excellent album. Every Country's Son I thought was a really good album. So they're on the back of two very good albums. And I have to say this one was a bit of a letdown. There's this guy, this Japanese pop artist, this Japanese shoegaze loving guy from the mid-90s whose name I can't remember, that made this very sort of avant pop album, Star 90 or something. I wish I could remember what it was. I should have probably looked that up. And that's what a lot of this album sounds like to me, and I don't think it's to its benefit that it does. I kind of wonder what this album is for. A lot of mid-length songs, so they were famous for very long songs. Mogwai Fears Satan, my all-time favourite Mogwai song, spirals on for 15 minutes, and they seem to lack that kind of ambition here. But it's not that they've just gone short, it's that they've gone mid, sort of 5 to 7 minutes accounts for a lot of the tracks on this album. In fact, I think everything is nearly 4 to 7 minutes on this album. And God Gets You Back, the first one, the synths and everything on it are kind of like a bit halfway between The Weeknd and someone like krautrock legends Harmonia, which is difficult to pass, but if you listen to it you might understand. But also a very sort of flat opener for me. There's a much more interesting sort of post-rock groove and shoegaze crescendo on High Chaos, which almost seems like a de facto statement of intent for this album. Track 3 is Fairly Ordinary, What Kind of Mix Is This? Best title on the album, Fancy Made of Flesh, classic Mogwai. Got a bit of a Stereolab French disco vibe. Again, I keep finding myself relating this album to Godspeed You Black Emperor. The last two Godspeed albums have been titanic. Godspeed and No Title as of Feb 24, 28,000 dead. The album of the year for me last year, and I gave it a 10 out of 10. It was ambitious. The only criticism I saw really was the fact that they were trading on past glories. But if you were like My Bloody Valentine and you made those sounds from Loveless in the first place and you use them again, I mean, they invented what they're copying. So I don't agree that them going back to what I think is the perfect template of the band and doing it so well that you can hold it up against their best albums. This has not been the case with Mogwai. I feel like they're dipping their toes into lesser forms of music, and I don't really know why. I certainly think that there's a huge gulf between where Godspeed You, Black Emperor are now and what they're doing musically. I mentioned in my review, like the Swans 10 years ago, I think that Godspeed today are the best rock band on earth. And there is nothing that isn't middling about this album from Mogwai to make me think they're not just adding a few songs to festival sets. They're so much better than this. And where is the ambition or relevance to what they're doing here? I did like that track though. I thought Fancy Made of Flesh was excellent. Another awesome title, Palvagan Hip Pain, I thought was an excellent title. And it's got a very compelling slow dive-esque line. It's another strong track, if not one of their better ever, as Nothing on Here is. And there's a nice follow through to if you find this world bad, you should see some of the others as track 6. But it's like they need more space and more ambition to build these tracks and it not just be middling music. There's some vocals on track 7 though, 18 Volcanoes. Bit of a Paranol vibe as well, which goes back to whoever that Japanese alt rock bedroom star of the mid-90s was. I wish I could remember. I've put down the Killers via Shoegaze, which sounds excellent, which is I think the Lion Rumpus track. I think it's the best track on the whole album, and it shows that spark of electricity that's missing from everything. I love listening to music where I will sit there and go, what the hell was that? And it's got the best background noises that come in across the speakers. It sounds phenomenal. It is so much more inspired than most of the album is. And then it ends on Fat Boy, and it feels like a real come down song, but it's an unearned come down. The music on the album is so trivial. So this is, it's a great band, but when I look at Godspeed and them, they're on completely different wavelengths at the moment in the music they're offering. I thought the last 2 albums by Mogwai were really quite strong, but there's no way, like with Godspeed and with No Title, that I would say they rival their best work or are in any way that ambitious. So I wish they'd kind of push the boat out and record an 18-minute blitzkrieg or something, because this is very unchallenging amalgamations of alt-rock music from the poppier end of the spectrum. It's very pleasant and it's undistinguished, and they're much better than this. So I'm only going to give Mogwai the bad fire 5.5 out of 10. Tragically, it's not something that I was listening to, which I have done a few times, and thought, I'm not really going to go back to this.